The one thing that you want to give these students is just the exposure. They just need to know what's out there, because it's hard to reach for something when you don't know what it is that you're reaching for.
In 2003, we were invited to go to a chamber music festival in Graz, and we experienced a similar concept of a festival there. We thought back then that we could create a similar concept festival, but to cater more specifically to our South African and Western Cape needs when it comes to classical music tuition.
In the beginning, because we were on such a shoestring budget that it was pretty much calling in favors. We had a lot of South Africans who came for free, in fact, and a couple of international people, we paid their flights, but no fees. After 2-3 years, you kind of run out of your own contacts, and then you start asking other people if they have people to recommend. And that's been snowballing to the point that currently we've had the principal players from the Met, principal players from the New York Phil, principal players from the Kavantas. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's extraordinary musicians that we are hosting at the moment. I think we're really quite fortunate with the faculty that we've had, because all of them are big names, and it's beyond big. But they keep returning, and I think it's because it's what I call magic. I think the festival has a little bit of magic that they recognize.
Right, good morning everyone. And welcome to our 11th Stellenbosch International Chamber Music Festival. Many of you have been here several times before.
On the first day, we have registration and we have auditions. In order for the students to prepare for a place in one of the two orchestras, we prepare audition material.
Look carefully at the times for your auditions. Look at the floor plan so that you know where to go. Familiarize yourself, warm up nicely, take it seriously. We always have...
Different instrumental groups are divided up into different rooms. And there's a timetable, and every 10 minutes there's somebody else that's got to come in and play their excerpts. They also play a solo piece of their own choice. And then it's the arduous task of the panelists to rank them, so to speak. And at the end of the day, everyone settles into their position, and they start with this very intense orchestral rehearsal the very next day.
Yeah, let's do it one more time. Don't be afraid of it. Go.
We, of course, changed a bit the structure of the evening concerts, of the faculty concerts. Back then we thought we were being clever by putting a classical evening, and the next night would be the Baroque evening.
So of course the classical was completely booked out. A lot of people for the romantic evening, and almost nothing for the contemporary. learned our lesson from that and realized that we don't actually have to follow a formula. You can do something new, and Peter calls it strange bedfellows, but that's essentially, a lot of composers can get into bed at the same time.
In terms of repertoire, I think it's fair to say there's no other festival quite like this. They've always tried to be incredibly daring, incredibly colorful, huge contrasts you will play in one program. You'd be lucky if you hear them, in Holland or in Germany at the festival. I think doing that here, and the audience, because they trust the artistic director, coming and lapping it all up, and indeed loving it, the challenge that they are offered. That's only a testimony to Nina's daring and also her expertise.
When I compile the program, I start with consulting with all the artists, because I think it's quite important that they need to have the opportunity to suggest what they would like to play.
And we submit our request, and when we're lucky, some of those requests are granted.
Many festivals up to 2 or 3 years, they say, we can have Souvenir de Florence again, or Mendelssohn Trio, or Octet, or something like that. The audience will always love it, but it's not that original. This is quite a policy of Nina to always keep fresh pieces coming.
Not only for us as the back stage of the festival, but also for the performers, to discover new pieces that they might not have known before, and sometimes gems are discovered.
I know that Nina, she's proud of the fact that many premieres, South African premieres, have taken place during this festival.
You actually play a role in providing a platform for the first performances of some of these compositions.
And one of those works is the Kapustine that we are doing this year. We had difficulty finding the score because it's not published. So our principal conductor, Daniel Reisken, happened to be in St. Petersburg at that time, and he actually went to Kapustine's house. He took a copy of the manuscript and he sent that on to South Africa. And we thought the piece only consisted of 2 movements, and then when the music arrived, then we suddenly realized, no, it's a bit longer and much more complicated.
We
try with the festival to establish a very clear identity as a creative forum, as a creative platform, not only for musicians, performing musicians, but also the creative aspect of developing and creating new works. And we try every year to identify one South African composer, just simply because we are a South African festival.
The composers actually come to Stellenbosch and they work with the players themselves. So there's an interaction that you don't get with the other works that we put on the program.
Rather try and keep it in strict tempo, as you've suggested.
The precedent for it comes from Schubert with a very famous piece of chamber music called the Trout Quintet. So various names were thought of, like Snook, you know? But I thought it had to have some kind of angling reference, and so I called it Quintet for the end of the line. What was more interesting for me than actually getting the music together was how these particular people get the music together and how they decide to negotiate certain things with each other.
Once more. 2, 3, 4.
It would not make any sense that Stellenbosch University would present just a performance festival without the educational component. And that plays a vital role in the festival.
And I think especially as Nina and Luis get many of us from the States, from Europe, from far away, to come to South Africa to play in this wonderful festival, it would be such a missed opportunity not also to try to inspire the kids.
As a young musician in South Africa, if you want to learn and if you want to sort of broaden your knowledge, your musical knowledge, this is one of those places where there's just knowledge to tap into.
There are no technical passages. Okay. I don't think ever. Really. They're either just strictly rhythmic, like yeah, da-ga-da-dun, da-ga-da-dun, dun, dun, da-ga-da-dun, da-ga-da-da-ga-da-da-dun, which is obviously rhythmic. And then there's melodic passages. Even is a melody. You know, this included. Okay. So play it beautifully. Yeah. Just do that over and over again. Not now.
You realize the desire to learn is very high, and you don't want to extinguish that flame. You want to feed it. You want students to want to take advantage of learning.
You gotta pace yourself, because if you push and you're always forcing for the dynamic, when you suddenly have to do something that's delicate, there's no sensitivity left. You know, it's like everything is...
Such an important feature of the festival is that the staff and the organization, everyone leads by example. We are all in exactly the same position as the students. We meet, we have 2 rehearsals maximum, and we go on stage and we have to perform.
It's amazing what you can do with only 2 rehearsals, and it forces you to be extremely effective with your time.
It's like being thrown into the deep end of a very cold pool. It's usually like quite a wake up the first rehearsal, and by the second rehearsal, it's your dress rehearsal.
Straight is not straight. Mm-hmm. It's a little loose.
Also, I mean, you have to learn very fast, and for some reason, everything always works out in the end. It's like somebody pours miracle dust over the musicians at the festival. Yes. It just always works.
once we've got a lot of students that have signed up, we will see then, for example, that we have, say, 30 violinists or 50 violinists and 22 cellists and 12 clarinetists, etc., etc. And once we know what we've got in terms of all the instrumentalists, we start dividing them up into chamber groups.
In the morning, for the pianists, while the other instrumentalists are in the orchestras with their rehearsal, the pianists are put in piano duo formations, which is one of my passions.
Consider una corda.
Okay. Am I in charge of the pedal?
You are the pedal guy. You are the driver.
When you do these kind of coachings, it's 1 hour that you spend with that group throughout the entire festival. So you've got to inject as much information and energy and excitement as you possibly can.
You don't drive yet. Do you drive?
I actually do.
You do drive? Wow, so then you should not have a problem. Clutch?
I almost feel like it puts more pressure on me as a teacher, but at the same time, because of the response that you get, it's an incredibly positive experience.
They're really eager to learn as well, willing, and they're at the same time it's very challenging because they are also just thrown together as a group. They're still trying to come to terms with these new people sitting next to them in the group, you know, and just getting to deal with personalities as well and possibly even different cultural backgrounds.
And then right on the downbeat again. Between the three of you, you're really the motor with the melody on top, and you're the engine. Yeah, let's try.
There are so many students here who want to learn so much, and what happened is that learning experience went beyond the parameters of time that occur here at the festival.
The first time when Western came in 2011, Peter just mentioned we have a trombonist, and I sent Western an email I think in April or March somewhere, very early, and that is the way I start to know Western.
That's how you think of it.
Yeah.
So you're thinking da 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 dee da ba 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 da ba ba ba, which is great. But I want you to try to think of it in one. I want you to think da 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 dee da 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 da.
For several months following the festival, Angus would contact me. We would get online on Skype and he'd say, can I have a lesson with you? Maybe we'll get online and I can play some of the exercises that you told me to work on during the festival. At one point, I got a little frustrated because I felt like I wish I could give you more, but there's only so much that we can do.
Okay. The idea is not necessarily to play as loud as you can. It's to play as loud as you can play with control. Okay. So if the sound starts...
For whatever reason at that moment, I was moved and I told Angus, I said, you know, I think the only way that we can really give you the full experience is if you were to come here. You need to come to New York.
Much better than really pounding away. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you can do this. I've heard you play a lot before. So just stay...
When Western mentioned to me, you know, I think you should come to New York, just the idea you're gonna go to New York already blew my mind. I was very fortunate to be there. I came back with a positive attitude towards my musical career, and I had an unbelievable time.
Angus's experience was such a positive and powerful experience and so meaningful that it became something where we thought maybe we should try to extend this type of opportunity to other students.
I must say, I think the 10 by 10 scholarship idea was just absolutely brilliant. We wanted to do something different in order to appreciate the 10th anniversary of the festival, which was in 2013. So we came up with the idea to have 10 scholarship winners, and they would each go for 10 days to one of the faculty members and receive tuition and go to concerts and basically have an international experience.
New York to the Metropolitan Opera. The scholarship is worth 40,000 rupees, and the lucky recipient is Alexander Irvin.
My hope with Angus and all the other students who had this 10 by 10 scholarship opportunity is that when they come home, they'll have a greater understanding of what is possible. So now when they're putting in their hours in the practice room or writing applications for scholarships or things, it won't be a dream that they don't understand.
I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, that it's been an inspiring week for me. In a world where music education is not so important anymore, when society feels that music is just a secondary thing, we know, we feel how important it is, to the point that we can't live without it. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. So it's been really inspiring to see so many of you here and fighting hard for the music. Thank you for your dedication and for your hard work and for your love of music and for transferring your love of music, for wanting to share it with somebody else. Good luck to you all with everything you do, and even if you don't stay in music, stay in music.
We have a magic formula. Masterclasses, coaching sessions, orchestra, chamber music, faculty concerts, it works. We want to go forward, we want to up our game, we want to even increase our quality if that's possible.
But when it comes to the original idea of what we wanted to achieve and even just the structure itself, nothing has changed.
I always tell people, I said, you know, every year, 10 of my favorite days of the year, when I'm in the best mood and I feel best about what I'm doing with my life and how I'm helping other people and how I'm making great music and all these things, it seems to be here in Stellenbosch, South Africa.
It's really incredible to have the caliber of musicians that we have here, right here in Stellenbosch, every year, right here. We don't have to go anywhere, we just have to come here.
The festival kind of makes you dream again. It makes you wonder whether you've really, everything about the way you approach music, whether you've really given it all when you see what's possible.
I would imagine in the long run, that's maybe the greatest legacy of this festival, and one that one should be very proud of.
Oh, sorry. So what's the question?
Working with the faculty members as a student.
Okay. Working with the faculty as a student. Sorry, nou gaan ek lag. It's so stupid. I'm like, ek voel soos 'n beauty queen and world peace. Like what?